This episode is sponsored by Smart Travel, a new podcast from NerdWallet. You know that one friend who always finds the best travel deals, picks the right cards, and somehow ends up in first class for the price of coach? How do they do that? Well, Smart Travel is like that friend, but in podcast form. They cover all things travel finance, like which travel cards earn their keep and which are just heavy, shiny metal, and planning group trips that won't ruin your budget or your friendships. So travel smarter and spend less. That's the key with help from NerdWallet. Follow Smart Travel wherever you get your podcasts. Armchair Explorer is a part of the Voyescape podcast network. Check out all of their shows from around the world at voyescape.com. Hey guys, welcome to Armchair Explorer. My name's Aaron Miller. I'm a travel writer and your host. And today we're going to go on a road trip to the Live Free or Die state. And that's a pretty cool nickname, right? We're going to hike in the White Mountains, discover what the business class of backpacking is, explore artist communities, and learn what Thoreau did when he visited here. That true exploration is not so much about what you see as how you see it. Are you ready? Let's go. This is the third episode we've produced with Lonely Planet this series, and there's going to be lots more adventures coming up with them soon. Lonely Planet, as you know, I'm sure, are legends of travel and adventure, and their ethos of proper, authentic exploring, local connections, and focusing on sustainable, positive travel is basically 100% in line with what we do here. So I'm super proud of that partnership. The journey we are taking today is based on a week-long road trip that we designed in collaboration with them. And I think it's pretty awesome, so I'm excited to share it. But it's also a journey that you can do too. That's kind of the idea of this Lonely Planet series. So check out the show notes and listen at the end to find out how you can. If you're thinking about a summer adventure in America, this might be exactly what you're looking for. But don't take my word for it. Listen and make your mind up for yourself. So before we get going, a quick thank you to everyone that's left a review or shared an episode. Thank you so much, guys. It really, really means a lot to me. I'm trying to get to 1,000 new listeners this series. We've got about a month left of the series. We're on our way, but we're not quite there, so I need your help. If you enjoy the show or this episode inspires you, the best thing you can possibly do to help and say thank you is spread the word, share a post, leave a review, or go old school and tell a friend in real life. So anything you can do makes a huge difference, and thank you so much for whatever that is. My Instagram is at Armchair Explorer Podcast, so connect with me there. I'd love to hear from you. Talk New Hampshire and all sorts of other travel. Love to know what you think about this episode and what you'd like to hear more of. If you like travel and adventure, come and hang out with me. We're going to get on well. But for now, we've just landed in New Hampshire. We picked up our ride and we're about to set off on a 7-day road trip through 3 of the state's coolest and most interesting regions. And we're going to start somewhere I've always wanted to go, in the heart of the White Mountains.
The White Mountains are very special to me, not only because I'm from this place and grew up hiking and climbing in these mountains, but they're just a really unique place in the middle of a very diverse and densely occupied place.
This is Marielle Fibish, an outdoor guide with the Appalachian Mountain Club, or AMC.
And when you come up to the northern part of New Hampshire, we have this incredible section of mountains, and we have about 70 miles of the Appalachian Trail kind of crushing through those mountains. And it is just unlike anywhere else east of the Mississippi and north of the Carolinas, in that we have bald peaks that are free of trees. When you start any hike, say if you're at the lowest elevation, you're in our nice deciduous hardwood forests, and it's beautiful. We've got lots of lush maples and birch and beech. And as you climb higher and higher in elevation, you start to reach a much more coniferous forest, and that's our boreal zone, right around, I'd say, 3,000 feet. And you keep climbing higher and higher, and all of a sudden the trees are your height, and then shoulder height, and then knee height, and then they're gone. right around 4,500 feet. So we really get to see this huge change in not a lot of miles.
The White Mountains cover nearly 800,000 acres of New Hampshire and are amongst the oldest mountains on Earth, formed over 300 million years ago. They were once as high as the Himalayas. Time has worn their summits down to bare granite. So when you climb to the top, you don't arrive at a jagged peak. You arrive at the edge of another world. High Arctic tundra, 2 hours from Boston, but closer ecologically to Greenland than anywhere else in the continental US. And it is here in these ancient mountains that the AMC has built a network of trails and mountain huts that provide a gateway to one of the greatest adventures on the eastern coast.
We are the oldest nonprofit conservation and recreation organization in the United States. So we started with a group of, I want to say it was like 32, 39 men and women back in 1876 that met up at the MIT campus. And we had, professors and state geologists all kind of coming together, a meeting of the minds. And it was a time when things were getting crazy and people were looking to get out of the hubbub of the cities and kind of get back to nature, right? And they just formed this group that really focused on that conservation kind of mission on top of exploration. And I think even in the original Constitution or something, it was very formal, and they really worded it as like it's art and it's recreation and conservation. So it was like a very artistic movement to get out, explore, and preserve it.
When the Appalachian Mountain Club was founded, tourism was already booming. Wealthy visitors arrived by horse and buggy to weekend at vast, opulent mountain hotels. But only a few people could afford them, and each one of those hotels sat in just one corner of the range. The AMC had a different vision. Modest stone huts deep in the backcountry, connected by a network of high-altitude trails. Now, the entire range was accessible to anyone with the legs to get there. And that's where Marielle is going to take us now. Not to all 8 huts, sadly. We don't have time for all of that on this trip, but it's one of her favorite weekend trips that she's going to take us on. The Presidential Traverse. 3 days, 4 peaks above 5,000 feet, and 2 nights in 2 of the AMC's best mountain huts. We follow her to the trailhead, strap on our boots, throw on our backpacks, and start to hike.
I think a lot of folks, expect to be challenged at the tippy top of the mountain, and they're shocked by the first 2 miles. You might start at a nice flat pace along a river with that beautiful forest we were talking about. But once you're climbing up and you're seeing those trees turn more into that boreal forest, you're starting to really find that incline. It's not rock climbing, but it is something of a 5th-class nature where you're really having to lean forward and find your footing and maybe use that root or tree system to climb up like a ladder. So it's a steep climb, and there's a lot of waterfalls. We've got really crystal clear water with sometimes this like blue color that comes through that's just like phenomenal. So very nice to swim in. And I like to tell people about the waterfalls because you're kind of climbing straight up them, and it's really one waterfall you just follow. When you do get to the hut, you're just under that 5,000-foot mark. So there are no trees at the hut. That very kind of final section of trail, you'll pop out and you're just pretty amazed. You're in the coal between 2 mountains. And from that hut, you can then hike up and actually summit Mount Madison. So you still have a bit of climbing. But again, once you're in that alpine zone, the climbing really becomes just these kind of big boulders. It's no longer really an obvious trail. We've got big rock cairns to show people the way, but it's often just kind of a beautiful lay of bedrock for you to play across.
Madison Spring Hut, our home for the night, was built in 1888, the first structure ever raised by the AMC. It sits in the coal between Mount Madison and Mount Adams at an elevation of 4,795 feet, surrounded on all sides by nothing but granite and sky. And if you're picturing a mere shelter, a rough dormitory with cold beds and no comfort for weary legs, think again. This is the business class of backpacking.
They come with, hearty meals. We serve like a 3-course meal with salad and soup and an entree and a dessert. We have libraries, we have games. There's just so many interesting people. So you really just kind of feel this relief when you see the hut. That first day, especially when you're climbing up to the ridge, you see people's whole life falling in front of them. They're just like, 3 miles. How is this happening to me in 3 miles? And then the hut appears and it's just like a huge grin and people just really release. And if you can stomach just a few more steps, there's a beautiful Star Lake kind of just past the hut. So you can even kind of get into some cool water if needed. And again, just amazing view. So even if it's just like reaching the hut and plopping down, which is very common, there's a great little porch. People just kind of sit and stare and take it in. And the hut stays bumping, I'd say, till about 9 p.m. And then they turn all the lights off and really kind of put it to bed. But that's when, the stargazing gets to be the most special. And the Milky Way, when you get a clear night, is just a really amazing thing to see from up there.
We watch the Milky Way come out in the pitch black of the White Mountains, a river of stars like a rainbow arching over the ridgeline. In the morning, it's a hearty breakfast at 7 a.m. sharp, scrambled eggs, fresh juice, and pancakes dripping with maple syrup before we set off for the day.
You leave the hut via what we call the Gulf Side Trail, which is a very old, very famous trail, and it's unique. You're kind of working your way south along the ridge, and you have that option almost all day where you can stay on the main trail, which happens to be at this point the Appalachian Trail, which is pretty cool. That Gulf Side Trail will take you all the way to Mount Washington, more or less. And you have the option then to kind of buck off and do these other summits. So it's a big day. Your mouth will just be on the ground every single turn, and it's every direction. So it's just so special.
The White Mountains' bold summits may make the views spectacular. On a clear day, Marielle says you can see out to the coast, you can see ships on the water. But they also make them a bad place to be if a thunderstorm rolls by, which, if you don't know what you're doing, is one very good reason to go out with a guide such as Marielle. So plan ahead, watch the sky. Watch the wind too, because where we're going next is Mount Washington, the highest peak in the range, 6,288 feet tall, and the home of the fastest wind speed ever measured in North America, 231 miles per hour, a world record that stood for nearly 62 years. But it's also nothing like what you might think.
Mount Washington is incredible. As you're hiking along that trail, you'll actually get to go right under the Cog Railroad as you approach the summit. And you'll take the Trinity Heights Trail to the very tippy top for that final scramble. Again, weather permitting. And at the top, I think folks expect this amazing nature moment, and I agree that it is a beautiful view, but you're seeing a lot more than just the nature once you're up there. We've got a visitor center, we have the railroad arriving, we have an auto road that arrives to the summit. So there's a lot of folks that get up there that don't even know there's hikers, and then there's a lot of hikers that get up there that don't know that there's going to be other users. But it's pretty fun. We have a lot of great, pieces of history. The Tip Top House, which was one of the original hotels that serviced at the summit, is still out there. They do some fun events these days. We also have the observatory on the summit. So there is, a museum and amazing science to experience. And there's a food court. So you could be doing all this with a chili dog. And it's a hoot. I think folks, have this rugged hiking day, and to get to this place that just feels like so busy. It's a lot to take in, but it's really fun. And I love to see where people go. And a lot of folks are up there loving the hikers. And I think that's the best part, is you roll up with the backpack because you're overnighting, and people see you and they're like, how did you get here? And you go, I hiked here. And they're like, what? They don't even know it's an option. So it's just really amazing to see so many folks at the top of the world, of the East Coast at least.
Mount Washington is both wilderness and carnival. Hikers arrive in boots and sweat alongside tourists who drove up the road in two-wheel drive rental cars. But that's fine. There is, after all, no greater smug feeling on earth than having earned a summit that others have bought. But if you can't climb it for whatever the reason, maybe you don't have the time, the Cog Railway is the way to go. It is the first mountain climbing railway ever built anywhere in the world, and it's been running continuously since 1869. When its inventor, Sylvester Marsh, applied for permission to build it, the idea was considered so absurd that legend has it an amendment was added to the charter granting him permission to extend it to the moon. But whatever way you get to the summit of Mount Washington, the view from the top is the same. 3 states, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, in a single 360-degree panorama. We stay for a while, grab a picnic, gloat internally, maybe send a postcard. There's actually a post office at the top. Marielle sends one to her dad every time she's there. And then it's time to head down the Crawford Trail to our bed for the night, the Lake of the Clouds hut.
That's probably our most popular hut in the system. It holds the most guests, 91, I believe. I mean, it's a party. We see big hut crews. We see lots of different naturalists coming through, lots of programming. And when you roll into any of these huts, you can, always expect all that, the same hospitality and welcoming and whatnot. But they always do lots of cool programs as well. So I know Lakes of the Clouds is a great location for their evening naturalist program, which runs every night. So I don't know, Lakes of the Clouds is definitely the most special kind of experience. You've got just incredible views again. You are at the highest lakes in the Northeast. So we have a few lakes at Lakes of the Clouds, and it's a really great place to just cool off, take a dip, or just kind of hang out at the hut.
Tomato soup and fresh baked sourdough, roast turkey and potatoes, a lemon pie that after 8 miles in the Alpine zone tastes like the best thing you have ever eaten. We could carry on from here the next morning. It's possible to walk all 8 huts in a string, 23 miles and 9,000 feet of elevation gain across the full presidential range. Some people, including Marielle, do it in a single day. But not us. This is, after all, the business class of backpacking. We head down to the low country for a hot shower and a well-earned rest of our weary legs.
We're really geared towards hikers. I mean, it's no thrills, just pretty simple. And we've got a long history of people that love the area and care about it. So the towns surrounding all these beautiful places are really accommodating and lovely. So it's just a nice breath of fresh air, quite literally. We've got amazing backcountry campsites as well. If you're on a little bit more of a budget, I highly recommend our wilderness areas where people just don't go, because they are so wild and dense, and you will see bear and moose pretty quickly once you start stepping into these truly wild places. I think that's what makes this area so special is we have, famous trails that are well built, and you can be very confident when you travel on them. But if that's not what you're looking for something a little bit more adventure-y, that's going to really make you pull that compass out. You are going to have an experience. But on top of that, we do see, a lot of different visitors. And I think it's really special to come here not only to get out on the trails, but to just experience an area that's had a lot of history and a lot of human history. I mean, when you start really tuning into, the logging and the railroads and just what has happened in this land, it's really impressive. And it makes me feel a lot of hope for the future that, places can change a lot. Places can go through these big movements and moments. But this place, people just continuously come back to and care for. So I think it's really special to bring people out and have, connecting moments where they see each other as just humans. There's no politics. There's no, squabbles. It's just kind of helping people through situations, conquering fears, conquering doubts about yourself. There's so many things that can happen when you go outside. People come and they just open up. So there's something about it. It's very, very moving to get to go out with people and really exceptional. It's a really great purpose.
From the White Mountains, we drive south, cutting through the heart of the White Mountain National Forest on the Kankamagus Highway, or the Kank, as locals call it, one of New England's most breathtaking drives. In the fall, when the maples ignite in reds and oranges and the birches glow gold, it's like driving through a tunnel of fire. We are heading to the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region and a different side to New Hampshire altogether. We've got 2 days here and a lot to pack in, but that's okay because we have a friend to show us round. Ben Coate is a Newport local and an outdoor fanatic, and he's going to take us on his ultimate 48 hours in the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. Ben, we've just arrived in your beautiful region. I'm really excited to spend a couple of days with you. We've parked the car, we've knocked on your door. It's a beautiful morning. Where are you going to take us?
So I think we would start off in New London. We have this great downtown area. So there's several locally owned coffee shops. So definitely want to start the day off with a nice cup of homemade coffee.
Yeah, get the caffeine in first. Yep.
And then in New London, it's awesome because we have 2 town beaches. And there's kayaks, paddleboards, canoes. So that would be, I think the first stop is head on to the lake with the coffee. From Little Lake Sunapee, you can actually see Mount Sunapee in the distance. And then from Pleasant Lake, you can get out into the lake and you can see Mount Kearsarge as well.
I love lakes in general, the places where mountains meet the lakes and forests meet the lakes. I always feel like that's such a beautiful, calm ecosystem. Does it feel like that to be out on the lake, kind of that calm, serene, peaceful feeling?
Definitely, especially when you can be the first one on the water in the morning.
Oh, right.
We have the loons and the geese. It's really nice.
Yeah, no, I bet. Okay, so we spent a couple of hours on the beach. Where to next?
So next, Sunapee has a great farmers market on the weekend. So lots of local vendors and produce. So head over to the big lake, to Lake Sunapee, and it's right in the harbor. There's a nice little bridge. There's walking paths. There's 2 different dinner boats that go out onto the big lake. There's nice little shops. You can get provisions to take out on your boat for the day.
And there's a history to it as well, right?
Yeah, this area is definitely was a touristy area, and people would come up from Boston on trains and spend their summers here.
Yeah. And going back to steamboat days as well, I think like the first steamboat was the Lady Woodsome. And I can just picture that, like coming up on that steamboat, and arriving. And still, 150 years later or thereabouts, people are still coming in and hanging out and enjoying the lake.
Yeah, there's lots of people that want to do tubing, water skiing, that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice. So it's one of those lakes where you have people just like screaming around in inflatable things. Yeah.
In some areas, but it's nice. There's lots of no-wake zones as well where people, you can take it a little bit slower.
And then, so let's say now we've had a lovely morning. We've gone to the farmer's market. We've sat in the harbor. Where are you going to take us for the afternoon?
So for the afternoon, Mount Sunapee has a bike park. So we can do some mountain biking over at Mount Sunapee. There's also some great hiking trails over there, so you could hike up Sunapee. It's very quiet at the top, but you can see the hustle and bustle going on below, see people out enjoying the water.
I always think that's really nice. If you can be somewhere quiet and look down at the hustle and bustle, that's sort of like the best of both worlds. Am I right in thinking that there are gnome doors hidden on little trees? So my question to you is, have you seen a gnome?
I have not seen a gnome. I've kind of caught things out of the corner of my eye or heard something scurrying away. Yeah. It may have been a gnome, but...
May have been. Yeah, you never know. They're sneaky little fellas, aren't they? They're good at hiding. Let's go to day 2 then. So we've had a nice sleep. We've woken up refreshed. It's another beautiful morning in the Lake Sunapee, Dartmouth region. What's your plans for us today?
So we've got the little country store that literally I can walk to from my house, get a coffee and a donut there, and then head to Newport.
Can I ask you, for people that don't live in, America or the region, what's a country store?
So up until a few years ago, country stores where I had to go to get my mail. It's definitely like a small store. Usually there's some local baked goods. There may be a hand-knit hat. There's a book swap out front.
So you can get your post, a hand-knit hat, and dinner all at the same store.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said we're going to Newport after that, right?
Yes. Newport has this amazing asset. There's a town forest. It's about 600 acres. And I think it's kind of one of the hallmarks of a great outdoor space where it has multiple uses for multiple different people. and that changes throughout the seasons. There's an 18-hole disc golf course that I think would be a great way to spend a couple hours.
Oh, frisbee golf. Okay, so for people that don't know, what I think if you're from the UK, you may never have put the words frisbee and golf together before. So talk us through it.
So it's played similarly to golf, but instead of clubs and balls, you're using a disc, and there's different shapes and sizes. So you have your putters, you have your drivers, and you're playing similarly to golf, where you're aiming for this basket that's made out of metal and chains.
It's so much fun. I mean, I've only done it a few times, but I absolutely love it. But yeah, what a fun way to spend, an hour or two playing some frisbee golf, some disc golf. Where are you going to take us for the afternoon?
The Newport Rail Trail. So I was fortunate enough to grow up the last house on a dead-end street that abutted the rail trail. And so growing up, it was just part of daily life, and I didn't really think about it. But then as I've gotten older, I've really realized what a neat attribute that is for our town. So it's about 9 miles, this section in Newport, and it has so many uses. During the summer, there's people on ATVs, there's people walking, people running, mountain biking, and then during the winter, we have cross-country skiing, dog sledding, snowshoeing, snowmobiles, so it really is multi-use.
And isn't there a brewery right on the trail as well? So
There is.
Can we work that in somehow?
Absolutely. So at about the halfway point, there's Protectworth Brewery.
Ideally situated and halfway, yeah.
Started in this guy's garage, and now they've moved into this new location that's perfectly located. And then there's also the Pizza Hero bus. So it's a converted city bus that has wood-fired pizza, and great way to fuel up halfway.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so wrap it up for us. Where are we going to kind of finish up our weekend with you?
So a lot of these towns have a bandstand in the middle. Newport is lucky enough to have this great bandstand and a concert series on Sunday nights. So head to the Common in Newport for one of the local concerts. And there's great vendors. So, there's an antique good humor truck. Usually there's a peanut vendor, some popcorn. So hang out on the Common, listen to some music. It's just very welcoming, and you could walk up to anybody and strike up a conversation, and it's just a great way to spend an evening.
That's the thing. It is amazing to stand on the summit of Mount Washington, whether you hike up or take the railway. It's incredible to feel the open space of the White Mountains, the achievement of climbing them on your own 2 feet. But that's only half of what New Hampshire is all about. It's also main streets and country stores, bandstands and quiet lakes. It's also about community, the real small town America. Places where people smile at you as you pass them on the street and strike up conversations just because. But where we're going next is perhaps the perfect combination of both of those sides of the state. Hey guys, Aaron here, just jumping in because I want to give a shout out to our partner for this episode, Lonely Planet. Jason, drop some air horns. These guys are legends, as you know. And also, visit New Hampshire. Some applause, please. I don't want them to feel left out because they're awesome too. We designed this road trip with both of them, and what I really wanted to do here was put together what would be my dream trip to New Hampshire. The adventure of the White Mountains. And remember, you can actually book Marielle to do that with you, which is so cool. Plus some of the chill of the lakes and small towns and forests in a couple of other regions of the state as well. I love trips like that because after you get back from the adventure, that chill feels so good. So if you want to find out more, go to visitnh.gov. That is a great resource for planning your trip. And at VisitNH is the social handle as well. Check that out for lots of photos, inspiration, all that good stuff. You can also go to lonelyplanet.com. They do great content. Of course, they got lots of stuff up there, photos, videos of New Hampshire, lots of the things we talked about today. But they also do these journeys now, which are trips that they design and recommend, and you can book them through them. So that's pretty cool. They have lots of details for this that we didn't get into here. We didn't have time, like cool places to stay, all that kind of thing. And you get to design that trip with a Lonely Planet expert. So just tell them you listen to this and they will sort you out with this exact trip, or you can tweak it however you wish. So thanks to them, lonelyplanet.com. Air horns again. And also visit New Hampshire, visit nh.gov. All right, let's get back to the show.
The Monadnock region is in the southwest corner of New Hampshire, and it's known to be sort of the cultural corner of the state.
This is Michelle Stoll, the executive director of the Monadnock Center for History and Culture.
Really lively art scene, live music, visual arts, theater. Very rural, very beautiful place. You don't see the kind of big box development here that you see in other parts of New England and the United States. The past is right with you, and that's what makes it quintessential New England.
In the late 19th century, the farms around Monadnock were failing. The soil was thin, the winters hard. One by one, the old farmhouses emptied out. But into that vacuum came a different kind of settler. Painters first, drawn by the mountains, and then writers, composers, academics. They came up from Boston and New York, bought those abandoned farms for a song, and fell in love with the quiet. A lot of these summer people ended up founding different cultural institutions in the area. One of the most influential was the MacDowell Colony, which began when composer Edward MacDowell and his wife Marion built a small cabin on their farmhouse grounds so he could work uninterrupted. That cabin became a campus, and that campus became a legend.
So now, over 100 years later, MacDowell is still in operation. They have a couple hundred acres and I don't know how many cabins, cottages, studios sprinkled across those acres. And the artists are able to go into their studio completely uninterrupted. They don't have to worry about where the food is coming from or worry about laundry or any of those things. They can just create. And then in the evenings, they can come together in Colony Hall, which is their sort of main meeting space, and collaborate, talk, inspire each other, work out problems, all those things.
Over 8,000 artists have passed through MacDowell's doors since it first opened, including many who would go on to become world-class. Aaron Copland, Leonard Bernstein, James Baldwin, Jonathan Franzen, and many, many others. But perhaps the most famous work to have been created here was in 1937 when a playwright named Thornton Wilder sat in one of MacDowell's forest cabins and wrote a play called Our Town.
The first act shows a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901.
This is my quintessential question is always, is Peterborough our town? Our town is really meant to be like a universal town. The play is really about universal human experience, and he wanted a place that everybody could relate to, this sort of the mythical small New England town.
Our Town is one of the most performed plays in the world. Its subject is small-town American life, the simple, fundamental things, birth, death, and marriage, the ordinary days that make a life. But it's really about noticing the extraordinary within that, the beauty of the everyday. He discovered that here. He was inspired by it. And it's not surprising, because that is what this region's all about. It's not about ticking boxes. It's about slowing down, looking and noticing and paying attention the way an artist does.
And I think Wilder would have agreed as well. When he was working on the play, he wrote to his good friend Gertrude Stein, who was in Switzerland at the time, saying, I'm working on the most wonderful little play. It has all of the big things in it and all of the little things lovingly impressed into it as well. And I think that really sums it up. And truly, people have their bucket lists of all the big places. We're going to go to Niagara Falls and we're going to see the Eiffel Tower and all of those sorts of things when they're traveling. But sometimes the best experiences are the ones in just the little out-of-the-way places that are so real. When you come to the Monadnock region, we're not made for tourism. That's not our only reason for being. So we really do experience what it's like to live here when you visit.
Michelle takes us to Harrisville, a 19th century mill village so perfectly preserved it feels stuck in time. We go to the Dublin Art Colony, the Peterborough Players, the oldest professional summer stock theatre in America. we watch a play in a centuries-old barn.
And then, if you're adventuresome, you can rent a kayak and go paddling down the Kentucket River and see hundreds of different kinds of birds. You might get lucky and see a river otter or a moose. And then if you're super lucky, you might see one of the nesting bald eagles along the river. It's pretty wild when you see one of those. If you're really into hiking, then you can go to Monadnock State Park and go hike Monadnock, which is supposedly the second most climbed mountain in the world after Mount Fuji. It is beautiful. It's a great experience to get to the summit and see the whole region from the top, because it is the highest peak and everything is just sort of laid out before you. It's just bare granite at the top, so you get a 360-degree view. You can actually see 3 states from there: New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts. Monadnock is an Abenaki term that has been variously translated to where the mountain stands alone. And it's the kind of mountain that doesn't have mountains around it. It's not part of a chain. So it's all by itself, and then everything else is a plain around it. It's just sort of laid out before you like this beautiful visual feast of lakes and rivers and trees. And New Hampshire is also like 90% forested, so the trees are everywhere. And at different times of year, that looks different. Like right now in the spring, it's all beautiful, soft colors as the leaves are coming out, light yellows and greens and pinks and purples. And then in the summer, it's just a sea of green. And then the fall, that's like the big party. It's all gorgeous oranges and reds and yellows and russet colors.
Perhaps because of that, and because it stands alone, Mount Monadnock has been drawing artists to its summit since they first started coming here over 100 years ago. The poet Galway Kinnell wrote some of his most famous and celebrated work here. Painters from the Boston School returned again and again to render it in oil. But perhaps Thoreau, who visited here numerous times, captured it best when he said, "I came not to look off from it, but to look at it." At the Monadnock Centre, they tell this story, they preserve this history, but they also support and inspire the living arts today. Every October on Columbus Day weekend, dozens of artists open their studios to the public for the Monadnock Open Studio Tour. Painters, sculptors, potters, photographers. Or if you come on the first Friday of every month from March to December, the McDowell Foundation hosts an artist in residence talk. The best way to actually meet the people doing the work. And that is what the Monadnock region offers. Not just beautiful things to see, but a different way of seeing.
The pace of things here, you can really slow down and see things deeply and savor things that when you're in the sort of hustle bustle of, go to this museum, go to this place, go to that bar, go to that restaurant, of a more urban vacation or tourism, that's one kind of experience. But here it's really about looking and feeling it and enjoying it. And like Thoreau says, I went to the pond to suck the marrow out of life, And that's really, I think that there is some truth to that here, because it is a slower pace and it does invite that sort of reflection and contemplation and deep looking.
And so we come to the end of the road. 3 regions, 3 unique parts of the same state. The White Mountains, ancient, demanding, a place that will humble you and make you gulp, gasp, and laugh out loud. Dartmouth Lake Sunapee, community, authenticity, a lake at morning with the loons, a bandstand on a green. And the Monadnock region, where Thornton Wilder learned to see the extraordinary in the ordinary and discovered that the simple things are the most important things of all. This is a place that invites you to live free and wild, but at the same time asks you to slow down and pay attention. to see the mountains and farmlands and golden forests of New Hampshire, as Thoreau did, as works of art in themselves. Thank you so much to our three guests today. Marielle Fibish, a senior outdoor guide at the Appalachian Mountain Club. You can actually hike in the White Mountains with her, which is pretty cool. Just go to outdoors.org to find out more. Ben Coate from the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. He works at the Tracy Memorial Library in New London, so stop in to say hi and see if you can get some more local insider tips on what to see and do. And then finally, Michelle Stoll, the Executive Director at the Monadnock Center for History and Culture. Go to monadnockcenter.org to find out everything they've got going on and more about that studio tour too, which sounds awesome. And finally, remember, you can go to visitnh.gov to plan your visit. Lots of great resources up there. And you can also find out how to do this exact road trip too. So check it out. And also check out lonelyplanet.com. Lots of articles, photos, videos about the Live Free State and about everything we talked about today. So until next time, remember, it's not about what you see, but it's how you see it. And that's important because the more you look for wonder in the world, the more the wonder of the world becomes a part of who you are. Dare to be truly alive. Armchair Explorer is produced by Armchair Productions. You can find our other shows at armchair-productions.com. I wrote and presented this episode, and Jason Patton did the audio editing and sound design. Thanks again for listening, guys. I will see you next time.
Hi, I'm Pauline Fromer, host of the Fromer's Travel Podcast. We post new episodes weekly, detailing the kinds of money-saving tips and cultural insights that will make your trips richer without making you significantly poorer. We do so by interviewing real travel experts like TV host Samantha Brown, Fromer's authors from around the globe, and such public figures as Free Solo's Alex Honnold. It's a fun travel party. I hope you can join us.
Hi, I'm Mike Siegel, host of the Travel Tales podcast, and I'm a stand-up comedian who's been touring the world for years. And when I'm not traveling for work, I'm traveling for fun. And when I'm not traveling at all, I'm talking with friends, influencers, expats, and other people from all walks of life about the thing I'm most passionate about, travel. So if you want to hear a fun conversation about travel and maybe even learn a few things along the way, check out the Travel Tales podcast with Mike Siegel, wherever you get your podcasts.
Close your eyes for a second. You're not at home, you're somewhere else, and you can hear it. This is the Winging It Travel podcast, and I'm James Hammond, recording my travels as they happen, capturing real moments, real places, and the sounds that make each journey unforgettable. From immersive soundscape episodes to conversations with locals and travelers.
My name is Dichinam, and this is Buddhist Nuns College, so I'm in 6th year.
This podcast is about travel as it actually feels, and not how it's sold. If you crave honest stories, unplanned moments, and adventures beyond the guidebook, put your headphones on and let's wing it. Search for Winging It Travel Podcast on any podcast app.